Okay, well, same deal. Once you're on screen, feel free to start.
Cool.
Let's bring you on now.
Hey, what's up everyone? It's Andre, back again for more LEGO Island. This time, Island Xtreme Stunts, effectively LEGO Island 3. And just gonna get right into it. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So this game is, like I said, the sequel to the sequel of LEGO Island, made by a different development team than the first. So this is gonna look a lot different to the run earlier. Gonna be a 3D platforming action adventure type thing. So the premise of this, the Brickster is out of jail and supposedly reformed, and Pepper and the Brickster are stars in the latest action movie on LEGO Island called Island Xtreme Stunts, and it features some of the cast from the LEGO Studios series, like the director and filmmaker and all them. So this first shoot is an action sequence where I have to basically just ram the Brickster off the road. I've got a few different power-ups that I can use. Only 3 out of the 4 are useful, and that was one heck of a juke from the Brickster there. We've got a lock which steadies the Brickster down, so I'm gonna activate that here. So hopefully he doesn't run off too hard and get away from me. That little explosion is double damage. There's a question mark that gives me a random one, and then there is a police siren that's basically useless. It just moves the other cars out of the way, so I'll be avoiding that one. Basically just want to be going for the damage and the turbo whenever possible. This one is a little bit slow. He was getting away from me a bit hard, but should be 1 or 2 more hits here. I think 1 more. There we go. And that's the first shoot pretty much done. The way the progression system in this game works is there are different awards, or I think they're called LAFTAs, which are LEGO version of the British BAFTA Actor Awards. So I have to get a certain amount in order to get to the sort of climax of the game. So I'll be getting 2 from this first mission here, so I'll be going back in and doing the shoot again, but on a slightly higher difficulty. Just makes the Brickster have a little bit more health, and he shoved me there, and it makes him a little hard to chase down. So here we get to see sort of the free roam part of the island. Much bigger than the original, and I think bigger than LEGO Island 2 as well. And you just have to basically go back to these little boards that have the chute. Also, yes, the main character's name is Pepperoni. Yeah, going back, and like I said, slightly more difficult. Between silver and bronze, there's not too much of a difficulty jump, but the gold ones are often much harder. So the only 2 gold ones that I'll need to do are for the next shoot, Moto Mayhem, which is a motorcycle stunt action thing, and then a boat race as well. So here, I basically want to prioritize the turbos. You can actually get ahead of the Brickster, so you have to be careful not to go too far ahead. You just want to basically stay right up behind him. The health bar doesn't seem to totally track. 1 tick isn't exactly 1 damage. The bar stays with the same amount of ticks in it, even though he has more health than last time. This first level is probably the most varied of all the shoots. You can either save or lose a lot of time in these levels, but there we go. So far, the second one was not too bad. So up next, we're going to be going to Moto Mayhem, probably my favorite one. It's a side-scrolling motorcycle section. It's pretty straightforward, but the gold level is the one that's really fun. There are a lot of obstacles, and it's actually kind of difficult. There are a lot of some precise jumps in there too. So whenever I'm getting onto my skateboard, you'll see me jump. It can actually pull out the skateboard in the air and then land on it, and it cancels the animation of pulling it out. so it's a way to save a little bit of time. So as you can see, the island is much bigger than Island 1. Probably about 10 times bigger. I've got 2 different skate parks and a bunch of different places to explore. I think a lot of the skateboarding mechanics for this are much better than LEGO Island 2. It's sort of comparable to like a sort of knockoff Tony Hawk. It has a whole trick system. You can do kick flips and grabs and stuff like that. Alright, so this is Moto Mayhem. Like I said, my favorite one. Despite being a 2D sort of side-scroller, or almost an auto-scroller, so you can't really gain or lose that much time, you can do some tricks in the air to build up your boost to save a little bit of time. Pressed that too late there, but not used to that pattern. But depending on the type of trick that you do, you get more or less boost. So I'll basically be doing this sort of T-pose and a backflip. The backflip gives you full boost, so I usually only do that over big jumps. And then the T-pose I can do over short gaps to get a small amount of boost wherever I can. I think there are 4 possible tricks. The other one is Pepper kind of turns around and sticks his butt out. Not really sure what that's about. And then the last one I think is a handstand. Oh no, he just, yeah. There he goes, the 2 different ones. So coming up the airport here, we actually have one of the few LEGO Island 2 references sprinkled in. That biplane is the same one from LEGO Island 2. This game was made by the same developers. I believe this one is called Silicon Dreams or something? I think Mindscape was the original one. I don't remember. This game was originally going to be called LEGO Island 3, but it went through a lot of revisions during development. They wanted something edgier and cooler, so they called it Island Xtreme Stunts. But they took the E out so they could be extra edgy. Got no more obstacles on the last bit of this. The next level is going to be pretty similar, just a small increase in difficulty, but the gold one's actually going to be somewhat difficult. If you're not careful, you can actually lose quite a bit of time. One kind of annoying part about this game is you do have to repeat this cutscene quite often, but thankfully it's not too long. I'm going to start mashing my enter key here, so I apologize a bit loud. I'm trying to do a skip here. Didn't get it there. Basically, if I mash the enter key on my keyboard, I can pull up that shoot board without actually walking over to it. I think there's a few frames where Pepper starts out, where he's basically dropped in the world right next to the board, and then he's moved into that sort of checkpoint position. So I'm mashing, I think it's about a 1 frame, maybe slightly bigger. You can pull up that board immediately. It saves a few seconds. This one, there you can see a new jump there. Not too many changes, mostly the same thing. So I do just want to give a quick shout out to the LEGOthon organizers for accepting this game. It's the game's first appearance at LEGOthon, which I think is really cool. And it was also actually my first PC game that I ever owned. So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, not much to say during this section. That is basically just a repeat. I think there's a few extra boxes in this section, starting here, but otherwise not much. You can see in the background those 2 different planes, the orange one and the blue and white one. You'll see those again later during the air chase shoot, where I have to fly a plane and take the Brickster down in the air. That's probably one of my favorite levels. It's got pretty funky music, and I think it looks the best. Coming to the end here, you might see the trike kind of bouncing up and down strangely. see if it happens here. Yeah, like that a little bit. Not really sure what causes it, but if you don't land perfectly on the ground, it just basically starts to bump up and down. And you can actually lose time that way, so you want to try to lean back to avoid that as much as possible. Yeah, coming up next is the harder one. The difficulty spikes quite a bit. There are some really annoyingly placed obstacles right where you land off some jumps. So you need to hold a really precise angle and basically press left to leap over the obstacle as quick as you can. So there you saw Pepper was actually invisible. That's one of the weird bugs and joys of playing an old LEGO game. For whatever reason, when he spawns in or when he gets out of certain vehicles, he's just completely invisible until you either jump or do some other kind of action. Not really sure why that's there and why they never fixed it, but interesting superpower he has, I guess. You're still visible to other NPCs on the map, it's just a purely visual thing. The one good part about the gold level on this one is, despite more obstacles, there are a lot more ramps, so I'm able to keep boost speed up, so it does go a little bit faster. Yeah, some of these obstacles are really hard to see, especially with some of the things that fly past the screen. It covers them up with these. And then in the airport section, there are a lot of really big ramps like this one here. There is a scoring system, so you can try to go for a high score with all these jumps, but it is faster to have a lower score than your high score to save some time at the scoreboard. So this section coming up is actually surprisingly difficult, unless you hit a really good boost. Actually run into a lot of obstacles, those ones. But you can actually get up on the roof to skip that. And then one last log right when you think it's over. So, funnily enough, I think I only had mistakes on the easiest version, so that sounds about right. So the next shoot coming up is probably my favorite overall. I think that last level was the most fun individual level, but the overall shoots, I think the boat race is the most fun. So we're going to see another one of Pepper's tricks here, which is walking on water and sort of floating. This is much faster than going around in your skateboard, and you can kind of just jump and float over the water like that. So this level is a race with a bunch of different Brickster bots. Really the only one you need to worry about is the Brickster. But I'll be doing stunts like the motorcycle section to build up my boost gauge, and this time I'm able to actually skip some small corners and cut them as much as I can. There's a really short countdown before it resets you back to the course once you're out of bounds, but I can do little shortcuts that help save time. Messed up that boost there, but that's alright. Tried to get a little extra boost there, but got a little greedy. I think this course definitely has the funkiest music in the game. Oh, barely missed that, but it's alright. It gives a 3, 2, 1 countdown when you're out of bounds, but it's definitely not full seconds, so it's hard to judge sometimes. You're going to take a bigger cut around this island. Don't need to do that. Yeah, the higher my boost gauge goes, the higher speed I get. That does mean I sometimes can go flying way too high off some obstacles. So I need to be careful about when I try to go for jumps and when I try to skip. This one is relatively safe. It's a cut there. On the left side of the screen, I don't know if you caught that, there were some weird just leftover objects on the first lap, there's a whole boat there. In later tracks, you'll see a little black speck go by, and for whatever reason, the Brickster's hairdo is just chilling in the water there. There's also some Brickster boat textures on the water surface. They're kind of hard to see, but yeah, just some random objects left over there. Also, yeah, pro tip, do not uncap your frame rate here. This game basically needs to run at 60 in order to work properly. Missed the skip there. It seems to be really hard on the wave catcher, so hopefully I can hit it at least once this run. Yeah, if you uncap your frame rate, as soon as you get bumped by any of the NPCs in this level, you just get shot into the air way outside of the skybox, and the physics just completely break. It also makes it so you can't really turn. Sometimes you can only turn left and you can't turn right. It just makes you go in circles. Really, really weird things happen. But that's such is the nature of all the PC games. So the only real difference between the difficulties here is just the layout is different. None that's really too much more difficult than the other. We had a donation come in, so if you want to take that, you can go ahead.
That's my mic.
Should hear you now.
Fantastic. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we have a $30 donation from Nolpo. Good luck to my homies on beer, Milkplate, and Rin on their runs. May everyone's runs be blessed. And Mata Nui. For $30. Yes, may everyone's runs be blessed indeed.
Thank you, Nolpo. Shout out to him. He's an absolute legend. He's helped a lot in the Binacle speedrunning community, making things like auto splitters and other tools. So yeah, huge shout outs to him. Now on to the gold level. This one is slightly more difficult because the Brickster does start ahead of you, and he stays ahead for a little bit. But there is a small little time save I can get if I get in front of him by cutting a corner. I can use his momentum to boost me forward. Really difficult, barely saves any time, but it is cool just in case. Got a small one there, so that was cool. There's another one later I can get as well. Hopefully he comes up behind me here. I think I got too far ahead of him. That's okay. So you can see the hair on the water on the right there. It stays loaded on all three levels. No idea why it's there, but really silly. So this last level does have a pretty large skip that I can do that I've tried to get working, but basically there are some checkpoints that are visible and some that aren't. So basically all the ones that matter during the first sections are the ones you can see. But near the end, there is a very large shortcut you can take and get straight to the finish line, but unfortunately it doesn't quite work out. It does respawn you further back. Another tip I'm doing here to make the turning a lot faster is I'm pressing down when I turn left and right, and that preserves a lot of your speed and just makes you turn faster than normal. So for small, precise movements, I just use normal turning. But that's how the turning looks so sensitive, is because I'm pressing down. Also, yeah, shoutouts to the whole Binacle gang, Milkblade and Rin. I'll be commentating their run on Sunday of Binacle the game, so be sure to check that out as well. So that is the third and final gold lap that I'll be getting from this run. The rest are all just silver. The camera goes at 1,000 sensitivity when you first spawn in, which makes it a little disorienting sometimes coming out of levels. This is the air chase. This one has probably the coolest looking level. Basically I have to fly through the air and collect some power-ups from my plane, and then ram the Brickster with my propeller. in order to make him fall out of the sky. So basically get all the upgrades you need to start boosting right at the beginning, and then from there I'm just holding boosts for the rest of the run and hitting these fuel cans to keep my fuel level up. The hitbox is rather strange to hit. It's not where you'd think it would be. It's sometimes off to the sides of him. I don't think you're supposed to aim for the middle. I think you're supposed to aim for the wings. But I'm not sure how I'm supposed to fly with a propeller that's, you know, eating him up, but I guess action movies aren't meant to be realistic. Another tip to make this level a lot more consistent is not pressing up or down. You basically only want to move left and right, because you can basically always hit his hitbox if you're in the middle, but if you're too high or too low, it makes it very difficult to hit. Should be almost done here. I don't know how he's flying with one wing, but I guess LEGO physics work differently than real ones. One of the big differences between this game and Island 2 is how much polish there is in the movement and skateboarding. So I can use the skateboard to go between levels, whereas in Island 2, pulling out the skateboard basically at any time just results in time loss, because it's no faster than your walk speed, but thankfully they made it much better in this game. This one, again, not too much more difficult than the bronze level. During the gold one, which I won't be playing, the power-ups move up and down and are much harder to grab, but thankfully don't have to do that. I believe that one also is one of the slower shoots to complete. So definitely want to avoid that in an 80% run. The wing and engine power-ups just make you turn better and have a longer boost. Beyond that, they only really give you bonus points, so there's no point in going after them after you've fully upgraded them unless you're going for a high score. That was a fun little glitch where the boost ran out even though my fuel gauge didn't run low. Looks like it's slightly bugged. There we go. So now on to the final shoot, which is a skydiving section, and we have a bit of a long trek to get there. And then after that, we get to the climax. Basically, the plot of the game, Pepper is part-time stuntman, part-time pizza delivery boy, and the Brickster is free from jail and supposedly reformed, but he's actually sabotaging the shoot along the way, and he constructs this big tower on the top of the mountain and does something evil. I don't actually remember. I think he just captures the infomaniac. Very similar to what happens in LEGO Island 2. One of my favorite parts about this game is the music, so you get to hear the song a little bit for this section. There are a couple different radio stations you can choose from, and on the rock station there's a song that just sounds like a knockoff Oasis, and the lyrics for the songs are just totally made up. Don't really mean anything, but I think they're silly. This is the final shoot before the end of the game, the last LAFTA we need to collect. This is a skydiving section where we have to skydive down and rescue passengers that the Brickster dropped out of a plane. Some reason Pepper has this sort of surfboard. I guess it's just to look cool. I don't really know what that does. You can do some tricks on the way down, but basically the fastest way is just to hold forward, and because that makes you move forward, but also makes you move downwards faster. And to make it the game extra extreme out and making music, they just decided to have a guy screaming in this song. Just to let you know it's extra cool. So I'm basically circling around them to try to stay as close as possible so I can slow down as little as possible. Thankfully in this bronze section it's pretty easy. There's only 3 passengers that we have to collect, but the gold one, it actually is quite difficult to get between them successfully. Thankfully they are relatively easy to spot. The arrow that's moving around just points me to the next ring, but the one with the little red triangles around it is the actual passenger that I need to get. The rest just give me bonus points, and I don't really care about those. One of the songs in this game, I think it's one of the titles is Minty Fresh, and the lyrics to another one were something LEGO wanted to be instructional for children. So the song lyrics talk about going upstairs and washing your face and brushing your teeth and washing behind your ears. And then the rest of it is just kind of made up nonsense. But when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I thought it was the coolest song in the world. And I kind of still do. So that is a wrap on all of the action shoots. Now we're on to the final part of the game. Involves climbing up the mountain and a final confrontation with the Brickster at the very top after some platforming and some driving. The platforming is really, really difficult because the movement is not what I'd call smooth. When you start to move diagonally, Pepper slows down like that, so it makes it really hard to make certain jumps. So here we are taking the Brickster's car, which is conveniently placed here for us, while objects rain down from the sky. Boxes, boulders, 3,000-pound weights. Something out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. Here you get to see these red bricks that I'm picking up are brick mail bricks. They're collectibles you can pick up and combine them with gold brick mail bricks, and you can make little constructible creatures that inhabit the island. So there's things like giraffes, dinosaurs, dogs, cows, and then certain animal combinations. I think there's like a camel turtle or something. I forget which one. There's some few combination made of animals. They're basically Pokemon. Coming up to the end here, and then we have the platforming section. One of the most annoying parts of the game, but thankfully I have a few tricks up my sleeve to make it a little bit easier. So one of the staples of all the LEGO Island games is being able to change the objects in the scenery. So a lot of trees or flowers you can turn into street signs or lampposts. So I'm going to be using the flowers here to boost myself up and over this fence. And then again, to make a little walkway up here. I'm going to try to use the sort of glitchy upwards acceleration from changing it to get up there. I didn't get it that time, but I did get over the first jump. Here I have to be really careful because, again, the controls are not the easiest and don't want to fall off this board. There we go. Now I can pull out the skateboard. It is not uncommon to have someone fall off this section. It is strangely really precise. This jump up here can be rather troublesome. Yeah. The acceleration you get off the ramp is really inconsistent, so it's hard to get a consistent jump up there. There we go. So now we're on to the 2D platforming section. This is very similar to the one in LEGO Island 2, where you climb the tower and fight the Brickster at the top. So the Infomaniac is up there, so we have to go rescue him. And I don't know how nobody noticed this giant tower that just randomly appeared overnight, but Brickster has some insane building skills. Either that or this whole thing must be inflatable. So we've got some obstacles. He's moving platforms and barrels. They can really trip you up. Thankfully, it's not too much of a time loss if you hit the barrels, but if you miss the platforming, you fall down to the lower platforms. And wait for this one because it hit me a bunch in practice. But that means I don't have to wait for this cycle here. Another difficult part is when these stone pillars come down, they can block your view of the boulders or the barrels and make them really hard to see. But so far so good. This part can be a little tricky, so I'm going to wait it out and be extra careful here. And then this one, whatever cycle they're on, you can just double jump all the way up. You don't have to slow down for those. So almost to the top, and then final confrontation with the Brickster, where I get to smack him with some pizza. This Pepper is a pizza delivery boy after all. So there we got the invisible pepper glitch, but I can just jump to get out of that. And just basically have to avoid his attacks and just knock him off with my pizza. Pretty straightforward. There are a couple of weird bugs that can happen up here. If you're too close to him when he respawns and gets dropped on the platform, you can get stuck in the ground and be unable to move. Or you can get caught in a slipping animation that doesn't really end. So I'm trying to stay to the outside of the ring when he respawns to hopefully just avoid all of that. As for what he's doing here, I think he's eating pizza and then it's too spicy for him, so he starts running away. Brickster known for loving spicy pizza. So after these first 3 hits, we've got a much easier attack to dodge. It's just a bunch of Brickster bots, and very easy to jump over. And then one more hit. Time is coming up soon. We're gonna have a couple more screens, and then the clapper board is gonna fall, and that's when time is. There we go. Time coming up here soon. And time. There we go. That is probably still my favorite LEGO game to date, my very first game. And yeah, really happy to show this off for the first time at LEGOthon.
Fantastic. And I think with that, you know, I heard we won a fundraising goal.
Heard we did.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. So I guess we'll just get right to it. Lego Island 2, the Brickster. Let's swap to that.
Thank you so much for everyone who's donated to get that in. Really appreciate you all. That's super cool.
And I'm really happy we were able to make that goal. And we are right back.
Right back into it.
The Brickster's Revenge. Take it away.
All right, so this is the sequel to the first game, but this time the Game Boy Advance port. Very different to the 3D platforming and point and click that we're used to. So the premise is the Brickster escaped out of jail basically the exact same way he did in Lego Island 1. Somehow they didn't learn their lesson and gave him an extra spicy pizza, and he burned his way out of jail. To go ahead and make sure this is switched over correctly. right, so this game, gonna be completing it in under 10 minutes. A lot of the things that I mentioned in Island Xtreme Stunts are gonna get completely skipped in this game. There's a really broken glitch that's gonna skip probably about 2/3 of the game. So, ready to get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So the first part of this game is basically one big series of fetch quests. I have to go around the island and help rebuild all of the buildings that the Brickster destroyed. Well, like I said, going to be skipping about 2/3 of it. Going to be getting the bare minimum I need in order to fly the space shuttle. So a lot of the game is you go collect a bunch of things, go to some different islands, like one has a castle, one has some dinosaurs and T-Rexes, and you help everyone out, and then you build your way up to building a space shuttle, flying through space to planet Ogle, where the Brickster is hidden. Ogle just being Lego spelled backwards. But instead of doing all that, I'm going to just be grabbing a space shuttle piece, a ferry ticket to leave the island, and just a couple small items just to get me there along the way. Also, yeah, the man who built my house there, his name is Bill Ding. Very, very reliable building contractor for Lego Island. Here we've got the information center page. That's how I'll get the space shuttle part. And then I'm going to head to the hospital after this. Going to grab the page for that and then rebuild the hospital. That's how I get the ferry ticket, which is my ticket, to the rest of the game. So we're going to talk to the Brickster again. For some reason, he thinks that he's a better skateboarder than we are. So to prove that to him, he's just going to give us the skateboard. And we're going to be using that to move a lot faster. Unlike the PC version of this game, the skateboard actually does help you a lot to move around. And there's no animation for taking it out, so it's very, very, very useful. Now I have to go to the hospital now. Basically got everything I need, besides the ferry ticket, which I got there. And then we'll be doing a sort of wrong warp and out of bounds glitch combined. Once I use the ferry ticket, it'll take me to another island where I believe that's where the castles are. There's a bunch of different quests to do there. But by pulling out the item menu on the correct frame, it wrong warped me for a brief moment and puts me back at the original island before warping me to the to where I'm supposed to be. So if I pull out the map when I'm back on the original island, I'll stay there and I'll be able to be out of bounds and skip 2/3 of the game through that. There's the last piece we need. And now we're on our way out. A lot of times the direction Pepper will be facing when I'm moving along these sidewalks will not be the direction he's going. Basically just holding diagonal so that I can move upwards as soon as I get to the corner. So that's why that looks a little bit goofy. So now on our way out there, you saw the sort of Ace of Spades card. That's one of the many collectible cards in this game where you can collect one for a bunch of different characters and view information about them. Those also come back in Island Xtreme Stunts as well. Here comes the really big skip. Going to be saving and quitting immediately after this cutscene ends. Like so. And then I quit out, and then I mash R as I come back in. And this might take a couple tries to get. Or just 2. Very nice. So now I'm out of bounds. Some glitchy collision. I have to navigate my way around off screen. And I'm off to space. So I go from just getting a skateboard to getting a ticket, and now I'm on a space shuttle. The things they trust kids with these days are ridiculous. Here is just about avoiding the asteroids. Anytime I hit one, it adds 5 seconds to the timer. before I can progress to the next section. I do have a shield and a laser cannon to help me, but basically only the shield is really useful. The laser just makes faster, smaller, and harder to dodge projectiles instead. That one hit me. That's unfortunate, so I'm losing 5 seconds there. So we'll get to see this for a little bit longer. Should end at around 44 seconds. Normally it ends right around 39. I swear I hit that shield in time, but I guess not. There we go. Now we have a little moon landing minigame. On the PC version, this is a very long skydiving section. Thankfully, this is much shorter. Just make our way to the target there. And this is one of the really big RNG heavy parts of the game. This is a stealth section where I have to avoid getting seen by the Brickster bots. The direction that they're facing is random. They are all on a timer for when they turn around. And there aren't many checkpoints, so if I do get seen, I can lose a lot of time. But through that section easily. Here's the pizza minigame that I basically just skip through by pressing B. During this next part, if I accidentally press B instead of A to skip through the dialogue, it warps me back to the island, and I can no longer continue to run. So I need to be really careful there. This guy right here is the big decider on whether or not you lose time. Sometimes he can be facing the absolute wrong way, and there's nothing you can do but just wait for him to turn around. I'd say this is definitely the most difficult part of the run, even though that he turned at the last second. Like I said, you can lose a lot of time, and sometimes those bots can just turn when you think it's safe to go, and they catch you and they send you pretty far back. Despite that, sub 10 definitely still on the table here, thanks to that massive time save earlier. I will be going for another time save later that is very inconsistent, so we will see if I get it. If not, it won't be a huge deal. I think it's only ever been done in personal best run once when I did it, but unfortunately during that run I didn't record the audio, so it wasn't a real verifiable time, but still pretty cool nonetheless. So there we go, through that section, and now onto the penultimate section. Again, we have a 2D platforming section right before the end. Here there's a glitch where I can spam the jump button, and sometimes you can get a double jump out, so hopefully I can use that to skip a certain part coming up later. It is very inconsistent to get. It's not quite a frame perfect trick. I've gone through frame by frame to try and replicate it, but it is not consistent. But it wouldn't be a Lego Island game if it was consistent. Just gotta make our way up here. Going to be coming up here. I'm gonna do a couple attempts at it. I do have to wait for a cycle of a moving block, so I have some time to try it. I'll go to a few goes here. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen. Yeah, like I said, really inconsistent. Hasn't been done in any of the runs on the leaderboard. And now we're into the final room. Time is coming up here very soon. Basically going to be when there's a bunch of green grass on screen. That's when the credits appear. This part you just have to spam pizzas and break down the Brickster's brick wall. Anytime you get hit by one of those falling yellow pieces, it either adds a brick to the pile or adds 1 health back to the Brickster, and he has 3 health, so I need to hit him 3 times without getting hit. There's 1 hit. Accidentally got hit there, so I need to get still 2 more in on him. Pattern is being the worst right now. There we go, and time. That is 3 games in the LEGO Island series. Thank you everyone who donated to get this run in. It's a really silly run, and especially silly because once you beat the game, you get warped back to the island, but since I skipped so much, a lot of the sequence is broken, so now I am actually soft locked. I can't play the game anymore. It just repeatedly brings up this screen. So yeah, that's the Brickster's Revenge GBA. Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you everyone who's donated.
Yeah, thank you for all the good runs, and yeah, thank you for everyone who donated to get this run into the event. Just a reminder about runs that we still have to get into the event. A Lego Funky Dots by Wii Super, for $1,500 event total. We're getting there, but we still have a ways to go. So feel free to get your donations in as soon as possible.